I woke up to red eyes burning through the blizzard and silver chains already locked around my wrists. The cold bit into my skin, but it was nothing compared to the ice in those eyes. Predator's eyes that belonged to the very target I'd been sent to kill. She stood over me, wrapped in white furs, her silver hair catching the pale northern light, and beside her loomed the massive white sentinel wolf, easily 8 feet at the shoulder, its breath misting as it watched me with intelligence that made my alpha instincts scream danger. The southern packs had called her a remnant, a dying ember. They lied. She circled me like prey, then spoke in a voice like winter wind cutting through stone. Alpha wolf, southern pack, hunter. It wasn't a question. Somehow she knew enough to keep me alive for answers, enough to make me her prisoner instead of her corpse. The chains tightened, enchanted silver that burned and made my alpha strength feel distant. They searched me with ruthless efficiency, finding every concealed blade, every poison vial. When they pulled out the sealed contract authorizing my kill mission, her eyes flashed with ancient rage. Take him. Chain him in the fortress. I realized with cold clarity that she was Queen Celeste, the last white wolf, the woman I'd been sent to murder. As they dragged me toward the ancient fortress carved into a glacier, I had one final coherent thought. She's captured her own executioner, and neither of us knows the chains binding me aren't nearly as strong as the ones I'm about to forge myself. The cell was carved from glacier ice so old it had turned blue, and the silver chains kept my alpha strength buried so deep I might as well have been human. 3 days I'd been here, spinning my cover story, lone scout, separated from my patrol, lost in the blizzard, while cataloging every weakness in her fortress. The guards rotated every 6 hours. The lock on my cell was ancient but solid. The window faced east toward 100-foot drop. But it was the nights that unraveled me. Through the ice walls, I could hear her. Celeste moved through the fortress alone, her footsteps echoing in empty halls built for hundreds. Sometimes she sang in that ancient language, songs that sounded like mourning. Other times, silence so complete I knew she was standing before the memorial wall where thousands of names were carved. Her people, her bloodline, all ash and memory now. Last night, I watched through the cell bars as she knelt in the great hall, lighting candles for the dead. Her white wolf lay beside her, and her shoulders shook with sobs she thought no one could witness. I turned away, jaw clenched, because the Southern Packs had never mentioned that the monster they wanted dead was just a woman drowning in grief. A woman whose loneliness looked exactly like mine. She came for me on the 4th morning, alone except for her sentinel wolf. No guards, no weapons visible, just those red eyes that saw too much and that armor that caught the dawn light streaming through ice walls. She unlocked the cell herself, and I noticed her hands didn't shake, even though she was within killing distance of a Southern Alpha. "Walk," she commanded, and I followed because the chains gave me no choice, and because part of me wanted to know what she'd do next. She led me to a chamber that must have been a throne room once, with frozen columns reaching toward a vaulted ceiling and windows that framed the endless white wasteland beyond. She sat across from me at a table carved from black ice, studying me like I was a puzzle she intended to solve. "You lie," she said simply. "Scouts do not carry poison made specifically for White Wolf blood. Scouts do not have assassination contracts hidden in boot heels." She slid the sealed document across the table, the one I thought they'd missed. "So we try again? Who sent you? What do Southern Packs want with the last of my kind?" Her accent made the words sound almost musical, but her eyes promised violence if I lied again. And despite every instinct screaming to maintain cover, I found myself studying the curve of her jaw, the way her silver hair caught the light, the intelligence burning behind that ancient gaze. "Tell me truth, Alpha Wolf." She leaned forward, close enough I could smell winter roses and something wild. "Or I make you tell me." The threat should have alarmed me. Instead, all I could think was how magnificent she looked when she was dangerous. The howls shattered the interrogation like breaking glass. Celeste's head snapped toward the window, her entire body going predator still. Her sentinel wolf was already moving, a white blur of fangs and fury heading for the courtyard. She grabbed a blade from the wall and turned to me with eyes that calculated odds I didn't want to know. "You fight or you die in chains. Choose now." She unlocked the silver with a key that hung around her neck, and the rush of my alpha power returning nearly dropped me to my knees. But there was no time, because the fortress doors exploded inward and 6 rove wolves poured through. Mercenaries wearing the mark of the Bounty Hunters Guild, here for Celeste's head and the fortune it would bring. I should have let them take her, should have stood aside and let my mission complete itself. Instead, I shifted and threw myself at the one reaching for her throat. We fought like the world was ending, her ancient magic and my alpha rage carving through rogues who'd underestimated what they were hunting. She moved like winter itself, beautiful, ruthless, inevitable. And when the last mercenary fell, bleeding in the snow, she didn't finish him, just stood over him, breathing hard, and offered mercy to a wolf who'd come to murder her. "Go, tell others what you found here. Tell them the last white wolf still has teeth." Watching her spare that life, when she had every right to take it, I felt something crack inside me, the certainty that had carried me through 100 kills, shattering like ice under impossible weight. I found the sentinel wolf 3 days later, caught in a steel trap meant for bears, its leg twisted at an angle that made my stomach turn. The creature that had watched me with murderous intent since my arrival now whimpered in pain, red eyes dim with agony. It could have been my chance to eliminate Celeste's greatest advantage, her most loyal guardian. Instead, I knelt in snow and spoke softly while prying the trap open, ignoring the way its teeth snapped inches from my face. The wolf collapsed when freed, panting, and I carried all 8 feet of predator back to the fortress like it weighed nothing, my alpha strength making the burden light, even as the decision made everything heavier. Celeste met me at the gates, her face pale with fear that transformed into something unreadable when she saw her companion alive in my arms. She didn't speak, just led me to her private chambers where ancient magic hummed in the walls. Together we set the leg, her hands steady while mine shook. And when the wolf finally rested, it pressed its massive head against my palm. Trust, impossible, devastating trust. "He never trusts outsiders," Celeste whispered, her voice breaking on the words. "In 300 years, only my bloodline could touch him." She looked at me with those red eyes, now swimming with unshed tears. "Who are you really?" The question hung between us like a blade, and I had no answer that wouldn't destroy everything. The messenger arrived under cover of a moonless night, wearing the mark of my pack commander burned into his shoulder. I met him in the frozen wastes beyond the fortress walls, where Celeste's magic couldn't reach, where my betrayal could remain hidden for just a while longer. 2 weeks, Riven. 2 weeks and no corpse, no proof, nothing. His eyes glowed amber with barely contained rage. "The commander demands results, or your head on a pike beside hers." I handed him the false report I'd prepared. Lies about needing more time, about waiting for the perfect moment, about Celeste's defenses being stronger than anticipated. all of it buying time I didn't know how to use, forestalling a mission I could no longer stomach completing. He read it, then looked at me with the kind of suspicion that gets wolves killed. You've gone soft. I can smell her on you. See it in your eyes. You're compromised. I'm patient, I growled, letting my alpha dominance roll over him. Something you never learned. But he didn't back down. Instead, he smiled with too many teeth and started moving toward the fortress. Maybe I'll complete this mission myself. Bring back her head and your Shane. I didn't think, didn't hesitate, just shifted, and my claws found his throat before he took 3 steps, ending his life in a spray of red across white snow. My pack brother, my mission partner, dead by my hand to protect the woman I'd been sent to kill. There was no going back now. I'd crossed every line, burned every bridge, and damned myself for a love that shouldn't exist. She found me hours later on the northern ramparts, staring at the aurora borealis that painted the sky in rivers of green and violet. Ancient wolf magic made the light stronger here, brighter, as if the spirits of her people were dancing above us. She approached silently, but I felt her presence like a physical thing, the air itself changing when she drew near. You have blood on your hands, she observed quietly, her red eyes reflecting the northern lights. But not mine. Whose? I should have lied, should have deflected. Instead, I found myself telling a version of the truth. Someone who wanted to hurt you. Someone I couldn't allow to succeed. She stood beside me, close enough our shoulders almost touched, her white furs rippling in the frozen wind. You are a mystery, Riven Darkwood. You fight for me, protect what is mine, yet I feel secrets cutting you apart inside. The lights above us intensified, and she closed her eyes as if listening to something I couldn't hear. When she spoke again, her voice was raw with a vulnerability I'd never heard from her. Do you know what it is to be last? To carry the weight of entire people in your blood, knowing when you die, they die forever? Celeste, I am so tired, she whispered, and the admission seemed to cost her everything. Tired of fighting, tired of being alone, tired of waking each day, knowing I will die with no one to mourn me, no one to remember my name. She turned to me then, tears frozen on her cheeks like diamonds. You make me feel less alone. And that terrifies me more than any army. I reached for her, before I could stop myself, my hand cupping her face, thumb brushing away ice crystals. The northern lights exploded above us, ancient magic recognizing something it shouldn't. A bond forming between assassin and target, between ending and beginning. You're not alone, I heard myself say, knowing that I was sealing my own fate with every word. Not anymore. When she kissed me, it felt like the world shifted on its axis, like every choice I'd ever made had led to this moment of beautiful, devastating treason. And I knew with absolute certainty that I couldn't kill her. Not for my pack, not for my honor, not to save my own life. I'd been sent to end the last white wolf, and instead, she'd become the only thing worth living for. They came at dawn, 50 wolves strong, their howls shattering the peace we'd stolen. Commander Cade led them, my former mentor, the wolf who'd trained me to kill without hesitation. They surrounded the fortress in perfect formation, and I knew every strategy because I'd helped design them. Celeste stood beside me on the ramparts, her hand finding mine, trust I didn't deserve flowing through that touch, until Cade's voice boomed across the snow, each word a bullet aimed at my heart. Riven Darkwood, Alpha Assassin of the Southern Packs, your mission is complete. Step aside and let us finish what you started. Or did the target make you forget your oath? I felt Celeste's hand go rigid in mine, felt the exact moment she understood. Her head turned slowly, those red eyes now blazing with betrayal so profound it carved me hollow. Assassin? The word broke on her lips. You were sent to kill me? Celeste, all of it. Every moment, every touch, every promise, lies? She stepped back, her sentinel wolf moving between us with teeth bared, and I watched her heart shatter in real time. I trusted you. I loved you. Cade laughed from below, the sound cruel and mocking. She loved you. Perfect. The mission parameters included weakening her emotionally. Well done, Riven. Now finish it. Kill her and come home with honor. 50 wolves waited. My entire pack. Everything I'd been trained for. Everything I'd sworn to uphold. All I had to do was complete the mission. I looked at Celeste, at the woman who'd shown me what it meant to be more than a weapon, and I made my choice. I shifted, let my alpha power explode outward, and turned to face my former pack with Celeste at my back. You want her? My voice carried across the frozen wasteland. You'll have to go through me first. The battle was chaos painted in blood across white snow. 50 wolves against 1, and I fought like the world was ending, because maybe it was. Cade came at me with everything he'd taught me. Every technique I'd mastered under his training now turned against me. We collided like thunder, alpha against alpha, and I felt my ribs crack under his assault. Behind me, Celeste fought with ancient magic that turned the air itself into weapons. Her grief and rage channeling power that made the fortress walls tremble. Her sentinel wolf was a white blur of vengeance, tearing through southern pack wolves with savage precision. But there were too many. Always too many. You threw away everything for a dead bloodline, for a woman who'll never forgive you. Maybe he was right, but I drove my claws through his chest anyway, felt his life drain as his eyes widened in disbelief. She's worth more than your genocidal empire, I growled as he fell. The remaining wolves broke formation, retreating as their commander's blood steamed in the snow. But victory tasted like ash. I collapsed, bleeding from a dozen wounds that should have killed me, barely conscious as Celeste dropped beside me with tears cutting through the blood on her face. You fool, she sobbed, her hands glowing with healing magic she poured into my broken body. You beautiful, treacherous fool. Why? Because, I managed through blood-filled lungs. Some loves are worth dying for. Her tears fell on my wounds, and I realized they were healing me faster than her magic alone could manage. Ancient white wolf tears, given only to those bonded by fate. I woke 3 days later in her chambers, wrapped in white furs that smelled like winter and home. Celeste sat beside me, exhausted but alive, her hand resting on my chest as if checking I was still breathing. When my eyes opened, something broke in her expression, relief and anguish warring for dominance. I should hate you, she whispered, but I cannot. The bond between us, it runs deeper than betrayal, deeper than lies. Her red eyes met mine, swimming with complicated emotions I'd spend lifetimes trying to understand. You chose me, knowing cost, knowing pain, you chose me. I'll choose you every time, I said, my voice rough but steady. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. No, you do not. She cut me off, but her fingers traced my jaw with devastating gentleness. But you will earn it. Every day for the rest of your life, you will earn it. She stood then, began marking ancient symbols on the floor with silver powder that glowed in the dim light. Her sentinel wolf watched from the corner, eyes knowing. There is a ritual, she explained, her voice taking on a formal cadence. Bonding of souls, permanent and unbreakable. It will link your life to mine, make you shadow of last white wolf. You will never again belong to southern packs. You will be mine, completely and forever. The magic built around us like a storm, and she offered her hand. Do you accept this bond, Riven Darkwood? Do you swear to guard me, to stand with me against the world that wants me dead, to be my shadow until stars go dark. I took her hand without hesitation. I swear it, on my life, on my soul, on everything I am and everything I'll become. The ritual consumed us, ancient magic burning through my veins as it rewrote my very essence. I felt my connection to the southern packs sever like cut rope, felt new bonds forming with Celeste that ran deeper than pack, deeper than blood. When it ended, silver marks glowed on my skin, mirroring the ancient patterns on hers. "They will come again," she said quietly, pulling me into her arms. "With more wolves, more weapons, more hate, we have only bought time. Then we use it," I murmured against her hair. "We prepare, we fight, we survive, together." Outside, snow began to fall on a world that would never be the same. I was no longer an alpha of the southern packs. I was the shadow of the last white wolf, bound to a woman whose bloodline I'd been sent to end, defending a love the world would call impossible. And I wouldn't had it any other way. If alpha intensity, soulmate sparks, and thrilling wolf world secrets are your jam, subscribe now so you don't miss it. Fresh episodes drop every day, and the twists will have you hooked from the first howl.